A judge refused Wednesday to throw out the sexual assault case against Bill Cosby, sweeping aside claims that a previous district attorney had granted the comedian immunity from prosecution a decade ago. At issue is a 2005 no prosecution deal between Cosby and former DA Bruce Castor. Cosby's attorneys claimed that deal prohibited the comedian from being prosecuted in the future. But the current DA, Kevin Steele, argued Cosby doesn't have a valid immunity deal. Steele said Castor's testimony that he had approved the deal in an oral agreement 11 years ago has no credibility. Jericka Duncan is in Philadelphia with more. Jericka, take us through this again. Cosby assumed this deal with the DA granted him immunity forever?
That's right. And you know what was so interesting about this case is the one person who apparently had a conversation with that former district attorney, Bruce Castor, is no longer living. That was Wally Phillips. That was the criminal attorney who represented Bill Cosby almost 12 years ago. He passed away almost a year ago to date. So that is where the problem lied. You had witnesses coming in basically trying to interpret or give their interpretation of what they believed that press release stated. Bruce Castor was on the stand for hours yesterday, and he explained that, yes, this was an agreement of such that he made a promise that he would not be bringing criminal sexual assault charges against Bill Cosby in the Andrea Constand case. But there's also language in that press release that left it open for the prosecution to look into other cases if more information was to arise. And that was also something that the defense said, well, if you look at it from the standpoint of what that meant is if other cases in Montgomery County arise, not necessarily Andrea Constand, as opposed to saying if more information came about in that case, that the district attorney's office had the right to prosecute Bill Cosby later. So a lot of back and forth, a few witnesses called over the course of the last 2 days, but ultimately the judge denied the motion from the defense to dismiss this case.
I'm curious, Jericka, is an arrangement like that even legal?
Well, that was the question, and it was definitely something that even the judge said he had a hard time finding case law to back up such an agreement. At the end of the day, it was a matter of, as attorneys who constantly deal with putting things in writing, putting things in an email, making sure both parties are clear on what an agreement is or what agreement had been reached, why wasn't something put on the docket or attached to that press release? You know, the district attorney, former district attorney Bruce Castor was saying, well, I signed the press release because it was, again, a way of stating that this was a promise that I was not going to press criminal charges or prosecute Bill Cosby with sexual assault.
So what happens now that the judge says the case can continue?
Well, now that the judge said that the case will continue, he scheduled a preliminary hearing for March 8th. That's what we were actually originally here for. But again, because the defense had filed those motions, the judge decided to hear those first before they can continue with the preliminary hearing, which will essentially establish whether or not there is enough evidence to take this matter to trial. So we watch and we wait and see what happens, because at the end of the day, again, with this case and Bill Cosby, the first time that he's been criminally charged with sexual assault, he's facing 10 years behind bars. So again, the preliminary hearing is next. That's next month. And then from there, we'll find out whether or not there will in fact be a trial.
All right, Jericka Duncan, thank you.